it's not a budget that we as Senate Democrats would have led with in this process. We would have not have introduced a budget in February that had the kind of draconian cuts that the governor did, nor would we have introduced this budget. However, what we know in this budget that we passed about a week and a half or so ago, that it's a significant improvement, and it's most of that improvement is in areas that we have focused dramatically on it. We add about $500 million back into the general fund spend. That's largely because the money is there to do it. We wouldn't have done it if the money was not there. But we add $500 million back in the general fund spend, and we focused on a couple of issues. Higher education funding. We think it's just untenable that students in another year would have to be confronted with dramatic tuition increases. They have to be confronted with classes not being offered at any given time because universities would have to cut back on their scheduling. Of course, is to save dollars. So we also added money back into basic education funding, which we think is extremely important. About $100 million we added back into basic education funding. We know that in addition to the distressed school districts across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that really need some additional support, that we're finding increasingly that there are more and more school districts who are running close to the edge financially and are having a difficult time going back to local taxpayers to meet the obligation that the state's not providing for them. That number is growing. Even in your more affluent school district, it's becoming a harder lift to get, and the state is not helping it the way it should. So we added more money back to basic education funding. And one of the areas that had become very heated over the last several months was funding for local counties to deal with the block grant cuts that the governor talked about. Most of those cuts would have come in some basic human service programs, especially around mental health issues and behavioral health issues for folks who are really living on the edge. And those counties needed that money. So we're able to increase by 50% over the governor's cuts. So it's the first step over the next 4 weeks of a process that hopefully will be able to restore a lot more back into those key areas, which are not just important for the people who utilize those areas, but all are extremely important for the future of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We have been working with House Democrats and Republicans, and I think that's key in this process. We reached across the aisle. We've obviously been very big advocates for these areas that we talked about before the governor even made his budget address back in February. Always talking about the importance of education, given the $1 billion or so cut that he made last year. And so we had started to really work aggressively to generate a groundswell of support. So, you know, that kind of materialized over the last several months. A lot of public activity, a lot of hearings and community meetings and rallies and what have you all across the state, utilizing social media, Twitter, Facebook, everything like that. And you know, we created an environment that allowed us to reach across the aisle and partner with our Republican colleagues in a bipartisan sense, kind of working together and come up with this budget document that we passed out of the Senate. Since then, we've been reaching to our House colleagues, both Republican and Democrat, trying to see if they can work on this and see if they can improve certain areas that we worked on and some areas that were not completed in what we passed two Wednesdays ago. So we're still on it. We're still focusing on it. Hopefully we can get to a very good document by the end of the budget season, and it'll really truly reflect the needs of the people of Pennsylvania.